From being a copycat in everything, from tanks and airplanes to the smallest things like bullet casings, to becoming a bold new weapons manufacturer challenging long-standing players, even rising to the top ranks in the global arms business, China, known for its cost-effectiveness and easy trading, still holds worldwide notoriety for its subpar quality. This paradox raises constant questions. Why, despite their inferior quality, are Chinese weapons as expensive as fresh shrimp and even sought after by many nations? Let's explore this intriguing phenomenon in today's video. Welcome to BCry's exploration of the blockbuster contracts and remarkable growth figures in the arms industry in 2022. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute's report, among the top 20 arms companies in the world, there are up to 8 companies from China. 3 years ago, this number was only 3, and within a short period, it has more than doubled. According to researchers, there has been a strong consolidation in China's arms industry, occurring from the mid-2010s even into 2021. China had the world's largest shipbuilding company, achieving revenue of $11.1 billion in 2021. The combined revenue of the top 8 arms companies in China in 2021 increased by 6.3% compared to 2020, reaching $190 billion, while in Europe, 27 companies made it into the top 100 arms enterprises with a total revenue of $123 billion, a 4.2% increase from 2020. Looking at these figures, it's clear that China's arms production growth index is impressive compared to the West, especially concerning the sale of weapons, the most notable being the Vt4 main battle tank, capable of firing guided missiles through its gun barrel. This third-generation tank, produced by Norinco, is believed to be based on the designs of the Type 96B and Type 99A. The most prominent customer for this tank is Thailand, which entered into its first contract to export Vt4 from China, consisting of 38 tanks, valued at an estimated $150 million. Subsequently, Thailand placed additional orders for 10 and 14 tanks in 2017 and 2019, respectively. In 2009, China also sold to countries such as Ghana and Namibia, totaling 93 armored vehicles, estimated to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars. In July 2014, it was reported that 100 Hongqi anti-ship missile systems were delivered to countries like Nigeria, Tanzania, Zambia, and Ghana. These nations have been notable customers for various Chinese-made aircraft, especially unmanned aerial vehicles. However, the exact number of Chinese combat drones exported remains uncertain, as China aims to increase its UAV exports. Furthermore, despite exporting a significant quantity, it does not necessarily reflect the quality of Chinese weapons. Many countries prefer Chinese weapons for their cost-effectiveness and quantity, compensating for perceived lower quality. Despite this, some countries that own Chinese weapons often prioritize affordability and quantity over quality. The following are instances highlighting concerns about the perceived inferior quality of Chinese weapons, ranging from the past to the present. In 1987, Thailand purchased a batch of 25 main battle tanks, Type 69-2, developed on the frame of the Type 59 and using Chinese Type 62 technology. However, after a short period of use, all 25 tanks were decommissioned due to numerous mechanical failures, lack of spare parts, and rigid axles. The tanks were later memorable for being dumped into the sea to create artificial coral reefs in 2010. Apart from the Type 69 per 2 incident, the Thai Navy faced bitterness when acquiring 4 Type Suoi-3H2 frigates from China in 1997 for $60 million each. While the cost was one-fourth of similar Western frigates, upon delivery, Thailand encountered numerous issues, including extensive repairs due to various malfunctions in the electrical network, control systems, ineffective firefighting equipment, and inadequate waterproof doors. The Thai Navy lamented the poor quality and functionality of these Chinese frigates, considering them a regrettable failure in their weapons procurement process. In the 1960s, with an effort to combine the essence of two legends, the AK-47 and the CKC, China created a new assault rifle. The result was the Type 63, a battle rifle that resembles the CKC but incorporates operational elements of the AK, such as the rotating bolt and a 7.62 mm cartridge similar to the AK's 7.62 multiple 39 mm. These rifles were in service with the Chinese military from 1963 to 1978. Simultaneously, a significant number of Type 63 and Type 68 rifles were provided to Vietnam. In Vietnam, these rifles were collectively known as the K63 series. However, these rifles were quickly phased out by Vietnam due to their poor quality. They were then redirected to rear-line forces for secondary use. The practical battlefield experience revealed that the Type 63 was too heavy and lacked essential details, such as a fire selector that could function in automatic mode, similar to the M16 of the United States or the AKM of the Soviet Union. In other words, the Type 63 became outdated right from its inception during the tense period along the northern border. In 2015, Myanmar purchased JF17 fighter jets from China at a price of only $16 million per aircraft. These jets were intended to replace the A-5C and J-7M fighters in their inventory, making them an incredibly cost-effective option for a fourth-generation fighter, according to experts. If Myanmar had opted to buy F-16 from the United States or Su-30s from Russia, the amount spent would only be sufficient for 3 aircraft instead of the JF-17. Regardless of being cheap or expensive, each choice has its own reasons. According to some sources in November 2022, all the JF-17 jets purchased by Myanmar from China were reportedly left exposed to the elements at various airfields. As per a former Myanmar pilot, these jets suffered from extensive damage to their fuselage and various structural points due to maneuvers in the air. Although not reaching the limits of flight, the aircraft's electronic systems and radar were prone to malfunctions, and there was a lack of beyond visual range missile systems. Additionally, Myanmar currently lacks spare parts, and international trade sanctions prevent direct acquisition of missiles and bombs for the JF-17. The devastating consequence is that the Myanmar Air Force has been unable to utilize the JF-17 jets for 4 years since their induction into service. Instead, they remain dependent on training aircraft such as the J-130 and MiG-29. In a broader context, the incident involving the burning of WZ-551 armored vehicles in Kenya, a country that imports a significant number of these vehicles from China, highlights the vulnerability of Chinese weaponry to even the simplest infantry weapons. In general, Chinese weapons sold to African countries are perceived as fragile and lack high protection capabilities against basic infantry weapons. This implies a higher casualty rate for soldiers in the event of conflict. Despite their low quality, these weapons continue to be in demand, showcasing a paradox that is not difficult to comprehend. In general, based on objective reports, it can be observed that the export market for Chinese weapons is often aimed at smaller, economically limited countries seeking cost-effective solutions. These nations typically have limited or no access to American and Russian weaponry, leading them to choose Chinese weapons to compensate for quantity over quality. Additionally, Chinese weapons are somewhat suitable for the specific tactical needs of these countries. One reason why Chinese weapons, despite their perceived shortcomings, remain in demand is the pricing difference compared to Western counterparts. For instance, the JF-17 Thunder in contrast to the latest Su-30SM from Russia or the newest F-16 from the United States, is considerably more affordable. If countries like Myanmar can negotiate discounts, the cost may be even lower, allowing for additional funds to be allocated for supplementary equipment. This makes it a reasonable choice for nations with budget constraints, but a preference for quantity over quality. This makes it a reasonable choice for nations with budget constraints, but a preference for quantity over quality. Furthermore, China's developed industry allows for the quick supply of a large quantity of military assets within a short period, typically 1 to 2 years. This is achieved by producing and stockpiling newly manufactured weapons, ready to be tailored and delivered according to customer demands. In contrast to the Western practice of fulfilling contracts in stages, China's approach streamlines the production and delivery process. China's proficiency in reverse engineering and redesigning weaponry adds to the appeal. By identifying and improving upon the weaknesses of certain weapon systems, China enhances the capabilities of its weapons, making them competitive with those of major powers like Russia and the United States, all while maintaining lower costs. A critical factor contributing to the popularity of Chinese weapons is the absence of constraints related to human rights and political or economic conditions. Unlike American weapons, which come with strict political and economic conditions, Chinese weapons are less encumbered. Additionally, the flexible payment methods, such as credit gifts and adaptable payment systems, make Chinese weapons more accessible and less monitored compared to weapons from competing nations. In summary, various political, economic, and strategic factors contribute to the preference for Chinese weapons by many nations, despite the acknowledged shortcomings. These countries find significant benefits in the cost-effectiveness, flexibility, and accessibility of Chinese weaponry, even if they face challenges with the performance and reliability of the purchased arms. Despite facing international pressure and scrutiny from leading arms-producing and exporting countries, China maintains its position in the market. While criticized for selling weapons to countries that violate international human rights and sovereignty, such as Pakistan and Myanmar, these deals continue. China, despite human rights and democracy concerns, has lost some traditional partners due to events like Thailand almost not purchasing from China after the Vt4 Tank incident and opting for the T-84 Oplot tank from Ukraine. Many other countries also refrain from choosing Chinese weapons due to technical issues, questionable quality, and uncertainties regarding the supply of replacement parts. Although China was the world's second-largest weapons producer in 2020, it still faces pressure from traditional competitors like Russia and the United States. These giants, with their reputations and high-quality products, pose significant challenges for China. Some emerging nations, like India and South Korea, are also striving to enhance the quality of their weapons and explore export markets. South Korea, for instance, is considered to offer weapons worth the cost and has a higher variety compared to China.